Aloha, everyone! This is Chesapeake Movie Thoughts, and it's time for another installment of classic Disney reviews. Last time we did a classic Disney review, we were looking at Saludos Amigos. So today we'll be looking at the follow-up to Saludos Amigos, so the Three Caballeros. The second film in a row to have that Latin American flavor. Of course, at this time, the European market was still cut off due to the war, so Disney was going for something that they could release in like South America, Mexico, and so on, in looking at those foreign markets, and wanted to make something that would appeal to them. So we get the Three Caballeros, and the Three Caballeros is kind of a bizarre kind of movie, and that's mainly due to its structure, or kind of lack thereof, at least by the end of the movie, because it really, at the end of the movie, like any structure it had is gone. It is a package film, which is one of the what they call these anthology films that they were doing, which are anthology films being, of course, a collection of short films with a framing device, like host segments, that just kind of string them together. So if you know that structure of like an anthology film, when you start watching the Three Caballeros, then you pretty quickly get an idea of, okay, you kind of figured out what the plot, the device, the framing device is going to be, because the movie starts off with Donald on his birthday receiving a package, and inside are gifts which are from his friends in Latin America, according to the tag. He opens the first one, and it is a projector with a reel of film. And so he begins playing the movie on the reel of film, so a movie within a movie. We see that, the first thing we see is a little cartoon about a little penguin who lives at the South Pole, but decides it is too cold at the South Pole, so he wants to live in a warmer climate. So he sets sail looking for a new place to live. And it's like just a cute little cartoon. Nothing, particularly memorable about it if it wasn't in this movie. Usually with an anthology film, if you took the short out of the anthology film, you could just show it on its own, without having the framing device. It would work okay on its own. Here, mostly that's true, but they do keep cutting back to Donald on occasion, seeing him reacting to it, so they would have to edit around that, but more or less they could do so. So at this point, you pretty much figured out like how it's going to work, what the host segments are going to be like, and what the cartoon shorts are going to be like, and that's what you expect to see. And there's a little aside then after that, which they explain some of the bird species native to South America, like documentary style. But instead of it's just to set up a gag for each bird species. There's a little visual gag associated with them. But then that leads to the introduction of a character that's going to be worth mentioning here, the Araquan bird, this is not a real bird species. This is a fictional bird they made up just to be this like kind of loony mischief maker. Who will pop up later in the film to make a little more mischief, but not a whole lot comes of it. But the reason it's worth mentioning is that he does actually pop up in future films. So this is where he's introduced. In this little aside between two cartoons. And then the next cartoon starts, and it is a cartoon about a flying burro. It's a donkey with wings, basically, and the little boy who finds him and befriends him and trains him to race, hoping to win lots of pesos. So that's another like cute little cartoon that would kind of work okay on its own. If you edit around, cutting back to Donald. Then after that, that's the first present. He goes to open his next present, and inside is a pop-up book about Brazil. But hidden within the pop-up book is a shrunk-down to travel size Jose Carioca, who we met in Saludos Amigos, the Brazilian parrot. And he sings a song about Bahia, it's a place in Brazil, And then he takes Donald to Bahia by taking him into the book. He shrinks him down in a very cartoony fashion by hitting him on the head with a mallet. That shrinks him down. I love cartoons. And then he brings him into the book, and in the book is Bahia. So he's taking him on a little trip to Bahia. Now, at this point, like, we're starting the next segment, the next short, but it's kind of blended in with the host segment with Donald and Jose there. So it's really kind of hard to tell. Like, they're now the stars of this next short segment, as well as being the stars of the host segments. So it's kind of hard to tell where the host segment ends and the short begins. And we also find out at this point that the film is not entirely animated. It's been entirely animated up to this point, but now they're bringing in live-action humans to have a dance number in Bahia, and they animate like Donald and Jose around them, kind of Roger Rabbit style. So it's getting a little looser with its rules here. It doesn't have to be animated now, and there doesn't have to be a clear separation between like the host segments and the shorts at this point. So that one ends. They end up back in Donald's room. It's never really made very clear as to exactly where this is taking place. Donald's home or whatever it is. So they end up back there, and they go to open their next present, and the next present explodes open. That's a piñata and a new character that they're introducing here, Panchito. He's a rooster from Mexico, and that is the third and final member of our title trio, the Three Caballeros, and he declares the three of them, the Three Caballeros, immediately, and they sing a song about that. And then they break open the piñata, and all these Mexican pieces of culture and so on burst out of it, and included in there is a picture book about Mexico. And Panchito summons a flying serape, and they go flying in and out of the picture book, traveling to different live-action spots. Lots of live-action footage in this part of Mexico, where there's folk dancing and so on. So a lot of like travelogue kind of stuff about Mexico, but it's at this point the structure is there's really no way to tell what is host segment and what is short at this point. The structure has broken down. It's gotten very stream of consciousness at this point. And not even that, like, it breaks down even further to where, like, at least, there was some reality to what was going on, even if it's its own version of it. But then even that kind of breaks down. It becomes very surreal and becomes kind of this fever dream by the end, and then kind of just ends. So it is a very bizarre film. It has a feeling of, as you watch it, you kind of this feeling of that you're gradually losing your mind, that you're gradually losing your grip on sanity, but you are having a good time while you're doing it. So if you are a Donald fan, you're going to want to watch this movie, because this is some of the best animation, some of the best character animation they've done on Donald. In fact, there used to be a show I used to watch on the Disney Channel when I was a kid that just was just a collection of old Disney cartoons, like anthology style, and they always just reused footage from this. The show was called Donald Duck Presents, and then they reused footage of this, particularly of like Donald with the projector. They would reuse that footage as just kind of like the bridge between these cartoons. So, I mean, this is a lot of really good stuff with Donald. Retains that Latin American flavor from Saludos Amigos. And it introduces this concept of the Three Caballeros. You've got these Donald with these two other characters forming a team. And you do see them pop up in other things as well. There's a ride at Epcot that focuses on these characters. So may not be everyone's cup of tea, but if you're interested in Disney history, or if you're a Donald Duck fan, or if you're just curious, if you've seen the Three Caballeros characters pop up somewhere else, and if you're curious about them, it's worth a watch. But just be aware of just how weird and surreal it gets. Just it's like something like it starts with kind of a structure and just kind of like says the heck with it by the end of the movie. I'm just gonna do what they're just gonna animate whatever the heck they want. But it's that's kind of its charm. It's kind of fun for that. It's not it's not everyone's cup of tea. Like I said, it's not the most memorable of all Disney classics, and really we're not gonna get those throughout the rest of the 40s. We're getting a nice taste of Disney flavor throughout the 1940s, but it's not. We're not going to see anything that's going to be like definitive, like Disney, like some of the first things you think of when you think of Disney, until we get to Cinderella in 1950. So throughout the 40s, it's just these anthology films, which are interesting in their own right, and this one is like kind of a little bit of a departure in that it's kind of strays away from the anthology formula, but it is. I mean, it does have stuff they do draw on for later film projects, theme park projects, and so on. So I do find it interesting. I do like to put it on every once in a while for that. All right, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and that's a wrap.